Imagine you get a Zoom call with a client. You've prepped for this for about weeks. You knew the Zoom call was coming, right? You have to show up for this client to get this client because you have a coaching program. You're teaching them how to podcast, or you're teaching them how to do gardening. You're teaching them how to do whatever it is that's in your niche. That's what you're teaching them. Imagine you got this Zoom call with this client. Wow, deep down inside, your world felt like it was falling apart. Now, here's the wildest part to this whole thought process. Most of the people, most of the entrepreneurs, most of the solopreneurs, most of the people that you admire, yes, the polished ones, the put together ones online, have shown up brokenhearted. Why they got a sick parent, or their bank account is sitting smack dead at zero. Yet somehow they push through. They still keep it professional. Can you imagine that? Can you put yourself in their shoes? Yeah, I'm going to explain to you how I managed to do it. You see, I'm that person. And more importantly, I want you to understand that exactly what I go through, you might be going through, but you can manage it. You can do it. And the goal is to make sure you understand today how to stay professional when you're struggling. I'm Anthony Porter, ex-construction guy turned CEO of a thriving podcast called the Solopreneur Chronicles Podcast and a thriving coaching business through Amplified Digital Academy. Fast forward past the many failed attempts and the lessons learned, and you will see the business that I have today. One that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought could be possible. One that I sit at the construction site and I used to only daydream about having. You see, I created the Solopreneur Chronicles podcast to give solopreneurs a simple yet actionable step-by-step strategic plan to help them do the same thing. If you are an ambitious entrepreneur, solopreneur, of one of the above mentioned in the making, who's looking to create a business that makes an impact in a life that you love, you, my friend, are in the right place. Let's get started. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Welcome back to all my fans, all my friends, all my comrades, all my associates. Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Solopreneur Chronicles podcast. For those who don't know, I am your host, Mr. Anthony Porter, and today we're going to get personal. We are about to get personal. We're going to dive deep into one of the hardest but most important mind shifts you will ever make as a solopreneur. And that is how to stay professional when your personal life is blazing on fire. See, this episode isn't about faking it till you make it. This episode isn't about pushing through the pain. It's about mastering your mindset, protecting your business, and showing up with integrity. Even when life is life, and everybody has gone through something in their life. But as an entrepreneur, it is our job as coaches, as podcast hosts, as teachers, as nurturers. It is our job to show up with integrity and keep pushing through to make sure that the clients that we are delivering this value to continues to be nurtured and gain all of the knowledge to help them achieve their desired goal. Now, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to compartmentalize without disconnecting yourself from yourself. You're going to learn the one thing to never sacrifice, even when everything is going wrong. And then, I kid you not, you're going to learn the professional system that can save your sanity when things get real. Because believe me, trying to run a business and dealing with issues outside of your business takes a toll on you. Now, for some of y'all who have never heard me say this, it's two things that I like to talk about. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. Number one, I'm dyslexic. I read backwards in order to read forward. Most people read from left to right. I read from right to left and then back left to right. My words, my letters are in reverse. And it's hard as hell as an entrepreneur because what I'm processing at a high rate is like there's it's like a person who stutters. And I never realized that till the other day. I was watching a podcast called My Expert Opinion. Shout out to the guys over at Expert Opinion. Math Hoffa. He had Dragon on the show. And for those who don't know who Dragon is the infamous little brother to DMX on Rough Rider. So he had Dragon on the show. Now, having Dragon on the show is one thing, but when you dig into, when you go on podcasts, sometimes getting real is the best thing that you could do. So Dragon starts to talk about, they asked a question, and the question is how can he rap so fast, or how can he rap so clear but in real life, he stutters. And I sat back patiently waiting for that answer because guess what? I read the exact same way. I talk straight, but my reading is the equivalent to their stuttering. So when he explained it, he's like, it's like his brain is moving faster than everybody else is moving. He's processing faster. So I was like, maybe that's me. So I picked up a book, and I don't have a problem showing you the book that I picked up because I done read this book twice. I picked up the Social Media Millions by Ryan Struble. This book travels with me. I picked the book up and I started looking over the content in the book. Because before I can read, I have to read it backwards and then come back to read it forward. So my brain is processing at a high rate of speed, and I have to read it backwards to slow down because I've already skimmed through it and I see it. And then when I come back to it, it's right there in front of me. So I read it, and I got the remote right next to me, and I hit the remote on YouTube again, and guess what happened? It processed because drag on again. A shout out to Mecca because Mecca was the one who asked this question. Dragon explained that this was the process. He's moving like most people might read, and I'm gonna give you a small analogy. Most people might read 25, 30 miles an hour, and that's really going fast. I'm just putting that out there. I read at a high rate of speed. I should get a ticket for how I try to process things. And it has been a downfall of mine, but it has also been an uplifting downfall because now I can explain, it explains to me why I am the way that I am. So with that being said, understand this. I have to show up every single day in my business, both businesses. Run the podcast, Solopreneur Chronicles podcast, which is attached to the Amplified Digital Academy, which is the academy where we teach you how to start podcasting and we teach you how to be a solopreneur the right way, not the wrong way, not the fluff way. And then here recently, I started a gourmet popcorn business. It's called Snap Crackle Gourmet. It's not your average everyday popcorn business, but there are days where it takes me away from the everyday life that I deal with. On top of preparing to retire by the end of next year, I'm always not in my best. I'm not at my best at all times. Now, before we go any further, if you hear me break down, because this is probably one of the topics that is so hard for me to discuss. If you hear me break down, man, don't make fun of me. I am a grown man, sometimes trying to find my way in life because I struggle every day with my mental health. I'm not looking for pity, though. I wanted to show the solopreneurs, the entrepreneurs, the course creators, and everyone out there, podcasters and all, I am successful at doing what I do with the two things that I feel like hold me back. But everybody else sees something different. I'm my worst critic. I'm my biggest critic. So I have to show you or explain to you how to show up and stay professional when my life is in the fire. So today, I need you. I need you to don't try to fake the funk. I need you to be clear. Today's the day that you need to download this episode because we're going to start out. And I'm going to give you 5 key areas that I felt like as I was preparing this podcast, I felt like it was something that I needed to talk about. So let's get started, man. I'm telling y'all, let's get started. I don't want to break down and we ain't even got into the content yet. Let's get started, okay? All right. The first thing I want to talk about is this. Do yourself a favor. Please do yourself a favor. And that favor is give yourself permission to be human. You have to give yourself permission to be human. So I know someone is sitting there and they're asking, Anthony, what does that mean? Let me give you something. Let me give you a backstory real quick. A few years ago is when I first found out that I was struggling with mental health. I never understood it. I always shut things out. I never wanted to talk about anything. I always wanted to be a business owner. Now understand this. Growing up, me and my homeboy, shout out to my homeboy, DJ John Rock, we had a group called the Spliff. And it's funny because the conversation that me and him had inspired this, which made me want to talk about it. We used to perform, and my guys, my team, they laughed at me a lot. Now, mind you, he was the producer. He was the guy behind the beats. The group itself was called the Spliff, but he was the guy behind the beats. And what it was, can you imagine as an artist, a producer, a rapper, DJ, can you imagine performing in front of thousands of people? I've done that. We used to have this arena here called the Louisville Gardens. The people we used to hang around would put on these concerts, these house parties. They borrowed it from the movie House Party. It was a hip hop house party. We was able to perform at several of these events. These events would bring in some of your top-notch talent. Before E40 and them became E40 and them on the East Coast, they was already doing their thing on the West. They came here. It was always, now the show was always followed, would always follow this event we had called the River City Football Classic, which was a all-black HBCU football game. They would bring in HBCUs, battles of the bands, step shows, the whole shebang on a weekend. And then it would cap off on that Saturday night with this house party. So you've had people like Compton's Most Wanted, South Central Cartel, E40 in the Click. I remember Ice Cube, Dub C, they came. And the list goes on and on and on. Biggie, all of these people would come. And I started to understand the business, but all of these people would come. They never could understand why we would always get together and pray before we went on stage. It was a ritual that we did. Pray for a good show, pray for nobody getting hurt. Because we covered the stage, man. We covered the stage. Now, I know some people going to be like, oh, you didn't do it. Look up Classic Thugs, buy the spliff on Amazon, YouTube, all of it. It's D-A, D-A, and then S-P-L-I-P-H. That should take away some of your thought process. All right. So moving forward, what happened was we would pray. But then I would go off and I would do an extra prayer. They couldn't understand that until recently. I was praying because I had panic attacks. I was praying because I was nervous as hell about to embark on performing in front of 8 to 10,000 people. Nobody knew us. And so this story reverts to I had to give myself permission to be human because we was chasing that rap dream. See, those people in our city like the Underground Mafia, they had national music out there, man. But everybody, it's always somebody in your city that wants to give a beef. We didn't have beef with these cats. Matter of fact, one of the cats and I grew up down the street from each other. We set ourselves apart from them because they was doing music one way, we was party people. They kept it gangster, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Shout out to them guys, man. God rest the dead. Both of them have passed away. And so within this, I had to give myself permission to go perform. So what you have to do is as a podcast host, as a business owner, you have to give yourself permission to do one or two things. You got two choices in life when it comes to your business. You either cancel or you show the hell up. You don't have to pretend to be okay because you're not. You don't have to pretend. All you got to do is have a system. I had a support system who didn't understand it at the time because once the lights went dim and I came from out of the corner, heart beating 100 miles an hour, my goal was to do one thing. My goal was to give everybody out there who didn't know who the hell I was the best performance before the main acts would come on. We was that opening act. We didn't give a damn about being an opening act. We was happy to be hitting the stage in front of people like Biggie, in front of people like Cube, in front of people. These folk wouldn't remember us from anything. We was just happy. We had the homies for us was South Central Cartel. But we had to get permission. I had to get permission to be human. You have to get permission in your business to be the same. You don't have to pretend, but you do need to put a system in place to protect you in emergency situations without abandoning your goals. I say that again. You have to be able to have something in place, a system. So when you are in the process, like with me, I was in the process of performing, but because we were such a teamed up unit, we knew each other. We knew each other's moves. We knew each other how we was going to. If I had a moment on stage, you never would have known it because Jay had my back and it was the same with him. So what I would do is like before rehearsal, I would build my buffer days. You need to build buffer days. You need to build days into your schedule for unexpected life events. I used to build days into my schedule for unexpected days preparing for performances. And until this day, right now, I still have buffer days. The podcast launches on Mondays, right? Saturday and Sundays are my buffer days. Now, I might go to an event, hang out with some friends. I might go hang out at the barbershop. I don't get a haircut till Tuesday, but my barber and the owner of the barbershop, we are all so cool. We talk sports. It's the man getaway. If you want to know the latest trends, you go to the barbershop. For the women, it's the beauty shop. Now, some women, they go to the barbershop because they get their haircut close. They got the fade. More power to them. I'm not knocking nobody. I don't want nobody to think that. But again, you want to find out something? Go talk to the barber because the barber is your counselor. The barber is your counselor, your confidant, and listen, the barber is your stylist. You know the latest music. Trust me. You have to, in your business, be able to have those buffer days. Be human. Get away from it all. That's what I like to do. Now, I couldn't do it this past weekend because it's raining up here in the city. Nobody's out. But do yourself a favor and pre-plan your emotional bandwidth. Realistically, you need to figure how you can handle the moments of grief and struggle. Now, I gave you the analogy of me performing, but think of a pilot. Let me give you this one here. Think of a airplane pilot flying through turbulence. They don't freak out. They rely on the instruments on their dashboard. And so, should you know, their system is their standard operating procedure. It's their SOP. They rely on that. So, those are some, like, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, give yourself permission to be human. Now, number two, detach the emotion from the execution. Execute what you got to do first and then feel it after it gets executed. See, when you are creating your content, when you are writing your emails, when you are responding to a client, when you are scheduled to clock in at your regular job, or you are scheduled to have a call, detach the emotion. You can't get mad if you're on a call with a client and they don't want to buy your coaching program. You can't get mad. Detach. You can't get mad if no one responds to your emails. You can't get mad if your content is not contenting. You can't get mad. But this is not about denying your emotion. It's about postponing them until the task is fully completed. We have to learn that, man. In business, you can't listen. The old saying is some people wear their emotions on their sleeve. I'm sorry. Sometimes you can't do that, man. As a person who deals with depression, you can't do that because that will push you. That will push you into a very dark space, and then your business sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it will fail. See, you got to create a personal, professional mode ritual. See, for me, here's what I like to do. I put on my watch, play music, like instrumental beats sometimes, block everything out for 90 minutes. And then I dive in and do my research because I want the podcast to be valuable for you to understand what's going on. Now, just because you're struggling doesn't mean you're broken. I'm not broken. I just struggle with mental health. I struggle because I am my own worst critic. Not everything that I do, I feel like is good enough to put out. I have 7 to 8 courses on podcasting. And every time I start one, I never put it out. Why? Because I feel like the value is not there. Now, if I go back and put everything together from starting the podcast to growing the podcast to monetizing the podcast to video podcasting, I have a $20,000 program sitting there waiting to go. I dove in. I went head first. But I have to understand, I had to give myself a professional mode ritual. So I listen. I don't judge. I listen to some music. I listen to the younger generation. I listen to other podcasters. I listen to instrumentals mainly. And then at night, especially at night, I cut on YouTube and cut on the black screen where the rain and thunder's going, and I just sit there and I just mellow out. Free my mind. And then it's what I got to do. So again, just because you're struggling doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're in a storm, but you still have control over that wheel. You still control what's going on. All right. And for those who couldn't see me, I'm sitting here driving, so you controlling the wheel. Listen, number 3 is learn this and lean on this. So what you want to do is you want to learn automation and then lean on the system. Reality check is this, my good peoples. Sometimes the best thing you can do is not show up in that moment. Now I know what I said in the beginning is crazy, but here's where this becomes a catch 22. Because I don't think let me say this, if you sit there and you're saying it's a catch 22, you didn't hear what I just said. I said, learn automation and then lean on the system, meaning learn how to automate your business so you don't always have to show up. That went over some people's heads right there. You want to be able to make money while you sleep. You want to be able to make money while you are traveling. You want to be able to make money while you are sitting down at dinner. But you can't do that if you always on your iPad, your phone, or your computer. Automate your systems. So for me, if anybody follows the Solopreneur Chronicles PC on Instagram, it's Solopreneur Chronicles PC on Instagram. Most of the episodes, the shorts, they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook, they're on TikTok. Here's what you don't understand. I automate those. So when this episode hits Monday, by Monday evening, I probably got 15 to 20 to 25 clips ready to go. So the episode hits at 6 a.m. Uploaded. Guess what I do? I go in, boop, let me go and snatch this up, put this over here. I use Opus Clip. Opus Clip takes the time out to chop up my episodes, give me my descriptions, and give me SEO titles based off what AI is telling them I'm talking about. So I schedule out for a week's worth. There are posts that I posted and another post that will post at 7 o'clock tonight. And I ain't posted jack. I set this up Monday and I walked away from it. All three, four of those channels get repurposed content from Monday through the following Sunday and get ready for the next Monday. All I do is set it up one time. It's about an hour's worth of work. That's it. And once I figure out how to do that with regular posts and reels for motivation and education carousels, I'm gonna do that too. And then when people hit me up, use automated DM responders or email responders, and then the low effect content bank is ready for emergencies. Cause see, some of those clips are not ready to go mainstream. So what we do is we add a little music. We add some music. We do some B-roll footage on there, and we stockpile them and get them out of the way. And once they come out of the way, then we turn around, and I keep saying we, but then I turn around and say I miss a day. I'm too sick. Well, I still got this content. Just like I have episodes ready to go. What you are watching now is probably shot 2 or 3 weeks in advance. And I'm already working on the next video. So yes, I'm strategically trying to stay ahead of the game because there are days where I don't feel like getting out of the bed. There are days that I don't feel like talking to anyone. There are days that I just do not feel it. But because the podcast is about the people and for the people, I have to get this content out. I have to be able to say, here's how this system works because you might be broken. This is how you fix it. So you have to be able to have those. Now, some of the top tools that I use Canva for pre-designed templates. I use Opus Clip for my video repurposing. And then I also use Notion for my content ideas. So the podcast has been broken down into a major section. So with that being said, in Notion, I have everything from pre-planning to recording to post recording to you name it, it's in there. I use it. So let your system protect your peace when your mind is not there. So, number 4, communicate with boundaries and not excuses. The hard truth to that statement right there is this: you don't owe anyone, or should I say, you don't owe everyone your story, but you owe your clients clarity. What to say when you're struggling? Let me give you a piece of advice. Here's what you tell them when you're struggling. Thanks for your patience. I've adjusted the delivery date slightly. Hey, I'm working through a minor delay. Here's the revised schedule. Appreciate you. Man, avoid over explaining. It creates an uncertainty and undermines your professionalism. So when you have these days, this is a boundary tip for you. Draft 2 to 3 in case of emergency client templates for times you need to take a step back. And that's how you do it, man. You want to be professional. You want to be able to handle things the right way without your button being pushed. Now, before I go on, let me say this. Here recently, the world is buzzing between LeBron and Stephen A. So the question has come: did Stephen A go too far? Did LeBron's response go too far? Stephen A's job is to criticize. He talks sports. He's a critic. He gets paid to do that. LeBron came to the defense of his son. Now, as a professional athlete, which is what his son is, people felt like that Bronny shouldn't have been in the pros or shouldn't be in the pros. But I asked this question as a human because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about mental health, correct? As a human, how do you tell a father not to defend his child? Because in this day and age, anyone can be fragile. And I'm not saying he's fragile, but too much criticism in this day and age can destroy people. So ask yourself, as a father, as a professional athlete and a father, what would you do? I'm going to leave it at that. But ask yourself, what would you do? And the reason that came up is because we're going to talk about the last key point that I want to make for the day, and that is you invest in a support circle. See, he has his moms, his brother, his sister, his dad. Now, people can be judgmental all they want. See, a lot of people are saying he wasn't ready to be in the NBA. I've seen first round draft picks who aren't ready to be in the NBA. I've seen number 1 draft picks bust out. So again, His support system is there. For you, you need a support system. You don't have LeBron money or Bronny money. I don't know how much the young fella's making. It's not my job to know how much that man is making. At the end of the day, he's playing basketball. He's got a two-way contract. He has his support system. You need to have one. Because being a solopreneur doesn't mean you have to be solo during the hard times. See, what your system is there for is emotional allies, your friends, your therapist, my therapist, your coach, people like Russell Brunson, people like Nehemiah Davis, people like David Sands, people like E.T. Eric Thomas. It's one of the most powerful motivational speakers around. I listen to him for motivation. I listen to Dr. Marquell Russell for strategies. You have to be able to have your emotional allies. You have to have business buddies, your mastermind people, your fellow solopreneurs. You have to task tackles. Or should I say task tacklers, virtual assistants, automation systems, and temporary help. You don't have to do it all. Excuse me, you don't have to do it all. When you feel like you're overwhelmed, bring somebody in, explain some what you needed done, let them handle it till you feel like you can come back and monitor. Don't just get rid of it, monitor it because it helps out. You don't need a big team. You don't need a big commitment from no one. You just need to not do things all by yourself. Now, most people don't understand. I don't do things by myself, but I'm going to help some people out here. In the next couple of months, we're going to start the Amplified Pod Academy. It's a community. It's all it is. It's a community. It's a community of learning, support systems, but it's not. It's going to have high value, high ticket information, not with the high ticket costs. Trust me when I tell you, it's not going to be. It's not going to be about that. So let's jump into these quick tips. And listen, first of all, I'm so glad that I made it through that particular segment because I get emotional when I talk about my mental health. I get emotional when I talk about being dyslexic. And then the third thing that has driven me sometimes to a point to where I just want to disconnect was the murder of my father, a 60-something, 70-something year old, 68-year-old man coming home from work, not a street cat. He wasn't in the streets, murdered, backing into his driveway. He worked as a security guard at the casino, and to get a phone call from your siblings is one of the hardest things that has ever happened. Next to losing my little young cat, he committed suicide. So my mental's been tested, but I have to keep showing up. Let's get through these 5 tips and these quick tips to help you fast track your way through some things. All right, number 1, create a crisis mode SOP. That means know what tasks to delay, delegate, and automate if life hits. If life is life, set that up. Number 2, use energy blocks. Block out your schedule based on how much energy something needs and not just time. Number 3, design your personal and professional uniform. Have a go-to look and set it up that gets you mentally in your zone. Remember I talked about it. I'll cut on YouTube black, let the rain hit. I listen to a little music. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I like to listen to, and I know I said quick. Sometimes you gotta hear this. I listen to the little babies. I listen to the Young Thug. But then sometimes I go back to the old school. I listen to Kendrick. I like Kendrick. Sometimes I go back to old school music. That's my era. I listen to the party anthems by Naughty by Nature, Heavy D. I listen to KRS-One and Run DMC. And then when it's time to, especially Method Man and Redman, the Wu-Tang, Def Squad, Hit Squad, with Eric Sermon and Perry Smith from EPMDK Solo, DOS Effects. All of these cats, man. Actually, I used to listen to NWA, Biggie, Nas, Mobb Deep, Lil Kim. I listened to all of that. Black Rob, G-Dep, Rock Nation, Dipset. I listen to that. Every one of them got a special song that helps me get through. Believe it or not, everyone I've named has a special song that helps me get through. So set up that process, that SOP, that uniform to help you relax your mind. Then number 4, set up a default I'm offline message to let people know, hey, I'm not online, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Give your brain time to rest. And then number 5, schedule a 15-minute daily, just schedule daily 15 minutes. The journal, write in your journal, to meditate, to pray. Give yourself your emergency emotions its own parking space. Give it to them and let them things get out of your way. All right. Listen, I talked to you about my story in the beginning. I know some of y'all might have a story. This ain't about preying on nobody. This ain't about making fun of nobody. This is about opening up because you're human. Business and mental health can coexist But you have to have systems in place in order for you to be successful, in order for you to maintain your sanity, take breaks, be human. Hit pause, take a couple of days off. Your systems in place should help your business keep running. If you learned anything, learn this. The business didn't fall apart for me. The audience didn't disappear. I had to figure out how to take care of myself. I still had to move forward in my business. And that's why this episode might have been the hardest decision to make, the hardest decision to produce, the hardest decision to record. But I had to do it. It's a whole weight off my shoulders, man. Again, it's hard, man. But you got to push through it. You got to show up. Man, listen, I thank you, solopreneurs, because that's a wrap today, man. Again, allow yourself to be human. Protect your peace with systems, automations, and boundaries. And prioritize mindsets over hustle when life gets to life. If you found this episode helpful, do yourself a favor. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, any one of your streaming platforms. Trust me, man. Trust me when I tell you this. Subscribe to any one of them. If you feel like you're having a problem, nobody's paying me to say this, but I want to see people be successful. I want to see people who struggle with dyslexia, who struggle with mental health, be successful. If you have mental health issues, man, listen, the National Mental Health Hotline is, again, it's, don't be ashamed to call and reach out and ask for some help. You can fall victim and you can lose it. But if you are a business owner, a person, a human being, no matter what, and you feel like you need help, reach out. Put life on pause. Don't let life be life and mess you over. All right. Now, again, tell a friend to tell a friend. Subscribe to the podcast. Download the podcast. Share the podcast. Share this episode because this could help not only you, but it could help someone struggling get the message. It could save someone. It could save their business. It could save their service. It could save anything. All right. Now, that's all we have today, man. Again, I appreciate you stopping by. Drop us a comment, leave us a review, and catch us in the next episode. So until next time, man, keep building, keep healing, keep showing up. Please stay professional when you're struggling with your own personal demons. All right, man. Peace out, y'all.